Welcome to Reddit Reads r/ProRevenge. Our first Reddit post is from Micro7. Half the class fails the midterm after cheaters copy me. TL drive at the end. I don't have a problem helping classmates. I really don't. I even tutored several classmates during my final semester of undergrad because they needed the help. They all ended up passing their classes with my assistance. This story comes from a particularly tough business information systems class during my undergraduate education. The students in this class were mostly non-technical business majors, so this new material wasn't at all similar to anything we'd learned in other classes. Needless to say, most of the students were struggling, including me. I still had a 4.0 in college at this point, though I finished with a 3.99, and I was willing to put in max effort to keep my stellar GPA. I started studying hard. I made my own Quizlet sets. I read the book every night. I finished assignments a week early, and I did outside research. After grinding it out in this class for about a month, I was working on an assignment in a room designated for quiet homework time, and that's where our story begins. Several other students from my class were there and working on the same assignment I was on. Judging by the size of exasperation, the irritated whispers, and requests for help, they weren't having much success. Having studied relentlessly for a month, I was having an easier time of it. As I got up to go get some water from the fountain in the hall, a classmate asked for my help. I told him I could do that and I'd be right back. I returned a few minutes later to find what I can only describe as a bunch of busy bees happily working away. This was strange, since they were hopelessly stuck 2 minutes before, but whatever. My classmate tells me he figured it out without me. Now, I'm not an idiot, so I know the 5 people in this room probably copied my work off my computer when I went to get water. Scumbag move number 1. But as it turns out, no one in the class needed help the next day or the day after. Whoever in the study room had stolen my work had forwarded it to most of the class. Scumbag move number 2. I don't mind being helpful, but I hate being used, so I made a plan to get back at the people who had stolen my work. It didn't take long to organize my plan and carry it out. Here's how it went. I changed an answer on the next assignment by multiplying by 1. 1500 became 1500 on this question. The next week, I left my computer in the same place as before and went to get water just like I had done the week before. 75 of the people in my class of 40 people put 1500 as the answer to question 3, which was definitely incorrect. I began studying relentlessly for the midterm. Our professor had said he won't adjust the weight of the test, something like your score 50 on a test with 60 points available, so your score of 40 becomes 80 instead of 67 if anyone scored particularly well. This class was difficult, and no one was expecting anyone to score over 75. My plan was to wreck the curve even though it's not a curve, and deny everyone the adjusted weight by producing a sufficiently high score. I recruited a classmate who had stolen my work to study with. Together we aimed to score high enough that our professor called to just the weight of the midterm. Here's how it all played out. No one who copied me realized the answer was incorrect. Every last one of those idiots submitted the wrong answer to question 3. This next part surprised me, but my classmates began insisting the class was unfair, too difficult, or rigged, and launched these complaints at our professor. One day after class, I had the following exchange. Professor Opp, do you think this class is too hard? Me, honestly, this class is hard, but if people spent as much time studying as they did complaining, I'd be fine. They really need to just get to work. Professor, I thought the same. Me deciding spur of the moment my next move, I also happened to know that most of the class incorrectly copied my work on the last assignment. Question 3 should be a net income of 1500, not a net loss of 1500. I put down the wrong answer initially, everyone copied me, and then I changed the answer later. I think you can reasonably conclude that anyone with 1500 as the answer cheated off of my incorrect work. Professor, I figured they all copied, but I didn't know you were the source. Anyway, thanks for your candor and your dedication to the class. I did cheat, so I don't know what happened to those who did, but depending on the class, they would either get a 0 for the assignment, fast forward to test day, and am ready to go. I know since most of the students are business majors, they need 70 to pass the class because it's a required course. Hurting them on the midterm will go a long way in helping drop their grades. I take the test in the first one done, and I leave pretty sure I've done enough to deny the class the exam weight adjustment. A week later, we get our exams back. Tests are distributed all around me with scores on the top in red ink. 68, 71, 70, 66, 75, 67, and these are the smart students. Someone on the end of my row takes a test from our professor and lets out a sigh as he begins passing a test down my row. It stops on my desk. 93. I've won. Some idiot in the front of the class, so is there going to be a curve? Professor, nope. Me, what was the high score? Professor, 93. Average score for the exam was 71. Maybe they made up for it on the final and passed, but I don't care. I got mine. TL drive people steal my homework, so I bait them into giving a wrong answer, tip the professor off on their cheating, and score high enough on the midterm to deny anyone a chance for an adjusted score. This comment is from Gamer Screed. Windows L people. Windows L. This comment is from Out of Shell. Yeah, I feel like the takeaway from this story is to lock your computer before you leave the room. Who just leaves their computer unlocked around other people? This comment is from Dataloin. I like the revenge being I studied hard and did really well on the test, and that fucked them over. As they say, the best revenge is living well. Now, a word from today's sponsor. Surfshark is an all-around VPN solution that can do everything from torrenting as well as streaming to browsing the dark web. Surfshark is one of the very best all-round VPN, terrific for Netflix, torrenting, confidential browsing, as well as staying safe on public Wi-Fi. Check out Surfshark today, link is in the description. Now back to the video. Our next Reddit post is from Tujnarik. His own parents didn't believe him. This happened to my friend G back in the 1960s. He was 15 years old, in high school, in a small West Coast town, USA. G was a small, easygoing kid. He did some work cutting lawns or something for his neighbor rich douche, same age. And of course, RD stiffed him. G's parents complained to R's parents, who couldn't believe their little perfect son would ever do such a thing. There were a couple of other incidents, mostly RD stealing credit at school for work G had done or general bullying. But RD was a suck-up as well as a weasel, and nothing ever happened. He wasn't even suspected. Key point, RD had an electric typewriter rare in high school and bragged about it and showed off his efforts. He claimed to get better grades on typed papers. So, revenge. Like most of the houses in the town in that bygone era, security was minimal. It was easy to slip in an unlocked window, so that's what G did when the house was empty. He brought a little file with him. Then he slowly typed up a page. G didn't type, so it was hunt and peck. The page started with, "Haha, the stupid teacher never reads this far. He's a real dick face," and continued for a full page. It used every dirty word he could think of and especially insulted the vice president in charge of the teachers. He then left with this piece of paper, leaving everything else untouched. Several weeks later, RD had typed another paper. It was paper-clipped together per requirements. G somehow managed to distract either him or the teacher and slid his special sheet in the middle. RD failed the class, though he'd been getting good grades up to that point. He appealed to the vice president. The extra insults directed of Sway made the VP allow the teacher's grade. RD claimed that someone else must have typed that, but upon closer examination, The modified character matched on all pages and didn't match any other typewriter. Checkmate. His own parents didn't believe him. Once they started looking, they found a lot more bad behavior that they'd ignored, and RD ended up in military school, not the place you wanted to be in the 1960s. Edit to answer a few questions from the comments. Yes, G is real. He is 65 now. You still don't want to screw him over, beat him fair and square, no problem. Need to renegotiate, ok, things happen. He will work with you. But don't try to cheat him. He plays a long game better than anyone I've ever met. This paper was the catalyst, not the cause of Reed's downfall. The parents started looking at other complaints about their perfect little boy with a different eye and found he wasn't so perfect. I don't know the details or even if G ever learned them, but there was definitely more evidence and incidents than this one. This was the incident he couldn't talk his way out of. Yes, it was probably Perry Mason mysteries that gave G the typewriter idea. G was born in 1952, so this would have happened in 196,667. Yes, Reed's parents overpaid their son to mow the lawn, trying to build responsibility in their kid. I think it was $5 back when you could buy a candy bar for a nickel 5 cents and a comic book for a dime 10 cents. He offered the same 5 to G, then stiffed him. That was the last straw for G, because general douchebaggery on Reed's part had been happening for years. G didn't know what happened to RD. Hopefully he learned some honor in military school and cleaned up his act. This comment is from Stevenerk. Old school revenge, I like it. This comment is from Ukwoik. Literally old school. This comment is from Kronos. GG. That was Reddit Reads r/ProRevenge. If you like this content, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you are notified of new uploads. We upload new videos every day. Also subscribe to our Patreon, as that will help us a lot. See you next time.